When I think of what we do, I think of our persistence over many, many years and identifying the issues that are crucial as a key feature of how CLASP has shaped policy.
In 1968, a group of youngish lawyers got together to talk about a way that we could practice law differently so that unrepresented voices in Washington could be heard.
I first learned about CLASP, the idea of CLASP, from Charlie Halpern, who was the first director and one of the founders. He told me about this, I think, quite extraordinary idea of creating a public interest law firm.
We sued the state of Alabama over the unconstitutional conditions in their institutions for mentally ill people. And that led to our creation of a mental health law project.
Well, there are a lot of accomplishments to be named. If you think about things like our work in the late 70s, where we were still a part of CLASP, to pass what is now the Pregnancy Discrimination Act, or our early work to ensure that the Department of Education actually implemented Title IX. Even though Title IX passed in 1972, there were many years before there were regulations and enforcement, and that took a lawsuit to make that happen, which we brought. Our support for our lowest income families became the foundation for the National Women's Law Center, and it was important grounding work at CLASP too.
Alan Hausman in particular, who was the giant who led CLASP at the time, was very well known.
Those of us who've tried to end poverty has been a progression from litigation to public policy work in Washington, D.C.
I'll always remember the executive director, Alan Hausman, coming and saying, we need to at least go to Congress and say, let's get legal services reauthorized. Because without legal services, people across the country who lived in poverty would not have lawyers. CLASP came with expertise, knowledge, insight, respect from the field, respect on the Hill, and respect before the Legal Services Corporation.
One of my most important interactions with CLASP was right after the passage of that welfare reform law in 1996, which on the face of it was going to be devastating for poor families and children. Mark Greenberg and Steve Savner taught us how the law was written in a way that it could be implemented by states to actually improve on the prior law in many ways, and to help us explain that to state officials. CLASP has relationships with state officials where they can be discreet but trusted advisors.
Hannah Matthews is the Deputy Executive Director for Policy at CLASP. What do we know about how much American families pay for childcare?
This is a tremendous expense for families. When we actually look across income levels, families that spend money on childcare pay a significant share of their household budget, and that's especially true for lower income families.
I recall the previous director, Alan Hausman, deciding to have staff address racial equity as part of the work. And being able to assemble a group of people with deep knowledge, expertise, intellect, and ability, and passion for the policies that will make a change in the lives of people that live across the country in poverty has really been, I think, an extraordinary gift to the country.
The magnitude of the problem is hidden. It was hidden in the way we calculated our dropout rates. We assembled multiple organizations at the national level to support this agenda. Keisha Bird, we brought her in, and today she's a go-to expert in DC.
I urge Congress to create a plan for universal access to education and employment for all young people and individuals impacted by the criminal justice system.
You do not have to choose between your jobs and your own health. Paid leave works.
This is critical for the health and well-being of families. We know that parents should not risk losing a job when they need to take time out to take care of a sick child or a sick parent.
Right after the election of President Trump, we came to the conclusion that this was the most dangerous time for low-income people in CLASP's 50-year history. The attack on immigrants and their families, and the attack on the safety and economic security of people of color.
Honestly, I think we did not expect to tap into this nerve in the country of so many people wanting to do everything possible to help defend and protect immigrant families.
I see CLASP continuing to provide leadership on the Hill as it has, and as well with other organizations across the country and in states, and continuing to be nimble as it has been.
And they have people of high technical competence and experience, always have. And people who have a real commitment to doing good work.
I am expecting and counting on CLASP to keep dreaming up the ideas and solution that we need for the future, and to campaign for what's right, to ensure that families, especially those who are low income, especially families of color and immigrant families, can actually thrive. I know CLASP will be there doing that work.
For my colleagues and I on Capitol Hill, you have always been a trusted resource with a steadfast mission to help working families, communities of color, and immigrants. I'm excited about where the next 50 years will take you. Congratulations again on this incredible achievement, and thank you for your support and friendship.